Shalom, ladies. This is Misty Harbor, and I'm going to be reading Torah portion Chayei Sarah, and it is found in Genesis chapter 23, verse 1 through 25:18. I'll be reading from the Scriptures 2009 version. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Zohar, for me. And let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the land, the field, and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me. I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron. And Abraham weighed out the silver, and Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field, and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Jehovah had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Jehovah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but to go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Isaac. And the servant said to him, What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, Beware, lest you take my son back there. Jehovah, Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, To your seed I give this land. He sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, Yehovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day and show loving commitment to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your jar to let me drink, and she says, drink and let me water your camels too. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitzhak. And let me know by this that you have shown loving commitment to my master. And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Rivkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good-looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your jar. And she said, drink, my master. And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking. And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent, in order to know whether Yehovah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, we have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yehovah. And he said, blessed be Yehovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving commitment and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yehovah led me to the house of my master's brothers. Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Rivkah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Rivkah, saying, thus the man spoke to me, then he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, come in, O blessed of Yehovah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came into the house, while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, let me not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yehovah has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, what if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yehovah, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yehovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water, and when the young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yehovah has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart. Then, see, Rivkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshipped Yehovah, and blessed Yehovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show loving commitment and truth to my master, let me know. And if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered, Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yehovah. We are not able to speak to you either evil or good. See, Rivkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yehovah has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yehovah. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, do not delay me, since Yehovah has prospered my way. Let me go so that I go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Rivkah and said to her, are you going with this man? And she said, I will go. So they let Rivkah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servants, and his men. And they blessed Rivkah and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Rivkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rivkah and left. And Yitzhak came from the way of Be'er Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Yitzhak went out to meditate in the field in the evening. And he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. And Rivkah lifted her eyes. And when she saw Yitzhak, she dismounted from her camel. And she had said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitzhak all the matters he had done. And Yitzhak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Rivkah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. Thus Yitzhak was comforted after his mother's death. Chapter 25. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimron, and Yoksan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shua. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Asherim, and Letushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Abidah, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzhak. But to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living. and sent them away from his son Yitzhak eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last, and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons, Yitzhak and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be, after the death of Abraham, that Elohim blessed his son Yitzhak, and Yitzhak dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mitzrian, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nabioth, then Kedar, and Abdael, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Yetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim, as you go toward Ashur. He settled before all his brothers.